Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hello, this is Ken James from Muskegon Community College, and I am pleased to have as a guest today my friend and colleague, Barbara. Barbara, do you mind introducing yourself to say who you are and what you do and who you do it for to the listeners?
Sure. I'm Barbara Lee VanHorssen. I am the experimenter at the Momentum Center, which is a nonprofit. We're located in Grand Haven in Holland, but we also have members from Muskegon, Grand Rapids, Allegan. We are creating a community where every person is fully visible and connected.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So you said a little bit about your reach touches all the way as far south as Allegan, all the way as far north as Muskegon. Can you tell us a little bit more in detail what Momentum Center focuses on? And you called yourself an experimenter. What does that mean?
Sure. So experimenter is my title. It's hyphenated. I think that a lot of my job is about mentoring experiences for other people, and that everything we do is an experiment. We try it. If it works, we continue. If it doesn't, we learn something and we adjust. So that's my title. My role, I suppose, is executive director.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that clarification and to do this. So I want to bring this is the Muskegon Rising podcast, and your reach does reach Muskegon. Tell us a little bit about specifically your connection to Muskegon.
So let me first share a little more about what we do.
Okay.
So the way we create community for everybody is that we provide social and recreational programs for people with mental illness, addictions, and disabilities. And we address the social determinants of health through cultural immersion experiences and community conversations. So all of that work comes together in my past experience. I used to spend a lot of time in Muskegon. I graduated from Fruitport High School, but one of my primary jobs was being the first full-time director of Muskegon County Habitat. And so that's really when I did a deep dive into Muskegon, joined Rotary.
All right. And
I got very involved there as well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. So you talked about some community conversations and experiential things. I really would like to go deep into that because there's something you and I are very familiar with called Across the Bridge, ATB for short. So if someone is listening for the first time and they've never heard of Across the Bridge, how would you sum that up in your own words?
I would say that Across the Bridge is an opportunity to build relationships between the Muskegon community and the Tri-Cities community, Grand Haven, Spring Lake, and Ferrysburg. It's to really address a drawbridge that acts not just as a physical barrier, but a barrier that divides us in terms of culture and understanding and just lifestyle. So we're working to address the stereotypes that exist on both sides of the bridge, a hesitancy to cross the bridge by bringing people to the other side.
Right.
We have an intensive where people can see up close and personal how the stereotypes fall apart when you're in the community itself.
Right. And I'll add to that, I'm a big proponent of having what I'll call grassroots conversations where we can do that. And I think Across the Bridge offers an opportunity for people to just see things from a grassroots perspective, sit down and just talk about things. So you can talk about myths, misperceptions, or how I see it from my lens as opposed to seeing it from a different lens. And that creates change. So I know for a fact, and for those of you listening, I co-lead Across the Bridge with Barbara, but we have an opportunity for people from Muskegon to visit the Tri-Cities coming up October 3rd through 5th. So if someone was listening and they wanted to get involved, what would you share with them on ways to get involved with Across the Bridge?
Well, I would really encourage them to reach out to either one of us. They could reach me at barbara@momentumcentergh.org or 616-502-2078. What they would experience is 3 days and 2 nights in Grand Haven, staying at one of the homes of a volunteer who is generous enough to provide this landing place for us. And then each day we explore the community, but we also have very intentional reflection time, both at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, that goes deeper than, wow, wasn't that an interesting day? We talk about how we're being changed and how that change makes a difference in our future relationships.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for sharing that. And if someone was interested, you shared your contact information. I can be reached as well. My name is Ken James. So you can go to Muskegon Community College website and find me there, or I am at kenneth.james@muskegoncc.edu. Feel free to reach out any way there. But if someone wanted to experience Across the Bridge, I think it's important for them to know that we do ask for donations, but that should not prohibit anyone from coming. Through grants and sponsorships, we will be able to cover those costs. It does include meals and lodging as a part of that. And so just if someone was interested, but I'm going to give a testimony, and I'd like you to share what you have learned. So this is the 4th year of Across the Bridge. So we've had 3 groups from each Grand Haven that have come to Muskegon, and from Muskegon that have come to Grand Haven. This is the 4th year. And my eyes have been opened and changed, even though I've been on the planning side of that. What would you say is your greatest takeaway from you as an individual and from what you've heard a participant share in the previous Across the Bridge experiences?
I feel like I'm the most privileged person on this experience because I get to be with both groups. You do as well. We get to experience the full weekend in both locations with 2 different groups and see that experience through those other eyes. I think for me, it's really drilled down very personally to me the weight of color. That there's so much that I am aware of, but I don't need to be aware of on a minute-to-minute basis. And so just that compassion, that empathy, that fellowship, I think we need to understand the place at which people enter into relationship. And the more we can experience that through their eyes, the richer and truer and more genuine our relationship will be.
Okay, very good. And maybe any participants, have you had someone share their aha moment with you that just resonated with you?
You know, many of the aha moments from the people coming from Grand Haven have been the kind of things that I have been aware of. For a while. I've been doing work around anti-racism for 20 plus years now. And so it's interesting to see people just waking up to the realities that they just were totally unaware of. I think that's what's taken me most by surprise, because I think I was born at a time where I believed everything was just changing and getting more inclusive and more understanding and more aware. And then to realize that you can really be isolated from other people's reality has just really been enforced.
Yes. As you were talking there, and I was just, even in my own mind, reflecting on Across the Bridge, which is just a powerful experience, if I could explain that. And if anybody that knows me or has interacted with me, I have my own little mantras and sayings that I say. And 2 of them that come to mind is, 1, familiarity brings about awareness. So the more familiar you are with something, the more aware you are with what's taking place. And the other thing is, we know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. And in my own experience, again, perception and reality are 2 different things. And as a person that represents Muskegon Community College and everything about this community, we service North Ottawa County, so Grand Haven is definitely within that. But when I've gone on this immersion experience, when you get into the community and see it from a different perspective, like, I'll be honest with you, when I think of Grand Haven, I think of sailboats and the pier and the beach and all the things that come along with that, and the Coast Guard Festival. But to see that there is a housing challenge issue there for the unhoused there, to see there are people experiencing homelessness in that community at a level that people might not be aware of, and just all and then the transportation challenges and things that come up, it's an eye-opening thing. And on the inverse side of that, having folks that come from the Tri-Cities areas to Muskegon that see, oh my goodness, I haven't been in, let's just say, downtown Muskegon in 20 years. It looks totally different. I didn't know that existed. Oh my goodness, the beach is really awesome. All these things. So familiarity brings about awareness. So we talk about across the bridge, and we have people experience both sides. How do you follow up with people once they've had an across the bridge experience?
So we try to organize a pre-meeting so that as many people as possible can meet each other before the experience. During the experience, we've created now a social time. We used to just have each of those groups do their weekends, and then we got back together, and we decided that wasn't enough interaction. So there's one night during each of those weekends where the side of the other bridge, the other side of the bridge is invited to join just for socializing and to kind of touch base on where things are now. And then afterward, we get together to debrief. And that debriefing includes brainstorming on how we share this experience with others. Again, the intention isn't just to have an interesting experience and then go about our day. The intention is to create change that leads us to creating more change. So it's an action-oriented experience. At the end of the day, we want to say, what are we doing next? What's the next step in addressing the divide and building relationships?
Outstanding. And again, we're sharing with individuals that may want to participate October 3rd through 5th of this year. Please reach out to Barbara or me, and we can get more information to you. How is this program funded? How is Across the Bridge funded?
Well, as you mentioned, we do ask people to contribute if they're able. It costs about $500 per person between the food and the transportation and the accommodations and all of those things. So if somebody has the means, then we ask them to pay the $500 themselves or through their workplace, and several people are able to do that through their workplace. If people don't have those funds, the next question we ask is there anything you can pay? If you can pay $100, that helps. But beyond that, we do fundraise. We ask other organizations to support it as a nonprofit venture. We have individual organizations that offer some scholarships. And so we use that so that cost is not a barrier. We never want finances to be a barrier to relational growth.
Okay, thank you for that. So I want to take a trip down memory lane, still referencing Across the Bridge. So I'll pay homage to Dr. Dale Nesberry, who was the person in charge of Muskegon Community College when I was hired. So Dr. Nesberry, if you see this, thank you for that opportunity. And I also want to pay homage to Dr. John Selman, who is my current boss, but he saw the vision, and MCC is totally invested in Across the Bridge as we continue this partnership. So tell me a little bit about the origin of Across the Bridge. How did this start up?
It started because I have been leading some kind of cultural immersion experience for about 20 years now. I started by bringing people to China and Tibet after I was a tourist there, and realized that it was absurd that I was watching people meditate instead of meditating. I started talking to my guide about bringing people back so we could really experience the culture, and he connected me to his company. We created an itinerary, the 5 Holy Peaks of Taoism, and we did that trip. I was doing those kind of trips, and I was actually on a trip in Egypt. We've continued to do those through the Momentum Center as a fundraising opportunity, a revenue stream. I was in Egypt reflecting on how important it is for us to be able to, or how enhanced the opportunity when we're in another culture is to finally see the lens through which we see the world. And when we see the lens itself, the lens that we see the world through, that's when things change. I was reflecting on that in Egypt when I realized you don't need to go around the world to do that. You just need to spend time with people whose experience and their lens is different than yours. And for those of us living in Grand Haven, that's as close as the other side of the bridge. So I got hold of Mr. Dale Nesberry. Love Dale. Shout out to Dale. And he and I began working on putting together this itinerary. It got stalled because of COVID, and then he retired, and I was so very grateful when that didn't just lapse, when it was turned over to you, and you've done an amazing job, and have just been a delight to work with.
Oh, well, thank you for the kudos there. So a little bit of the historical context and then bringing to the present, there's opportunities again, October 3rd through 5th of this year. If someone would like to participate, we have room for you. And I'm going to go ahead.
Just to clarify, that's for the group for Muskegon coming to the Tri-Cities. So
Yes.
the September 19 to 21, which will probably already have expired by the time this airs, that's when the group from the Tri-Cities is spending a weekend in Muskegon. So this will be the second half of this year's across the
And thank you for that
bridge.
clarification. We do have a group from Grand Haven coming to Muskegon beginning on the 19th of September. So, but we have our current. We did a little bit of the historical. I want to just kind of look through a regional lens for a moment, just the Lakeshore, what I call the Lakeshore. So you talk about Ottawa County, Muskegon County. One could argue that you could do an across-the-bridge type experience within Ottawa County alone. Or one could argue that you could do an across-the-bridge type experience in Muskegon County alone. What is your take on focusing specifically on Grand Haven and Muskegon? What made that connection so important in your mind?
Well, for me, the importance of that was because of the stereotypes and the stigmas. And you hear people, you're right about being able to have this experience at a lot of different places. And there's a vast difference between Holland and Grand Haven. But I've never heard somebody in Holland say, oh, I'm not going to Grand Haven. That's not a safe place for me. And so it's about addressing that stereotype that I'm not supposed to be on the other side of the bridge. I think for Grand Haven, we suffer for a lack of diversity and a lack of multiple perspectives. So I feel like Across the Bridge does us the favor of bringing different perspectives into a place that, has been very kind of encapsulated for a very long time, and allows both the participants to see that there's a welcome place for them, but also for the people in the Tri-Cities to have a new experience of their own community, to see their community through somebody else's eyes.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. And so as we think about, keeping these lasting relationships going on as the trip has ended, my next question for you is, what misconceptions have you seen challenged based upon the Across the Bridge experience?
Well, I think from the Grand Haven to Muskegon side, the main misperception is around safety. And so meeting with public safety is always really important, and to talk about the what gets focused on in the news versus what the reality is on the ground. That's really important. Going into the neighborhoods, walking through Muskegon Heights, getting our food from coops, that all challenges that stereotype that it's not safe to go to Muskegon. Conversely, when we bring Muskegon folks to Grand Haven, I think the public safety conversation is also probably the most important, because the perception is I can't drive through Grand Haven without getting pulled over and harassed if I'm a person of color. And so we talk about that and what part of that might have an edge of truth in it and what part is not true, and what's being done to address the perceptions. So I think those are the most common stereotypes that I've heard.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And you mentioned that part of the experience for when people from the Tri-Cities, Grand Haven area come to Muskegon is that we are intentional to include all of Greater Muskegon, and that does include Muskegon Heights as well. And I just wanted to say that for anybody that might be wondering that's listening. So as we head toward the conclusion of our conversation here, what, if anything, would you like to share that we haven't covered yet, whether it relates to your connection to Muskegon, what you do as the experimenter at the Momentum Center, or what we've talked about here in depth, the Across the Bridge experience?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to talk just a little bit more about what's happening at the Momentum Center.
Absolutely.
As I said, cultural immersion is part of how we address the social determinants of mental health. We believe that if we're not addressing the systemic issues, the societies in which we operate, then we're not addressing whole human beings. So our cultural immersion experiences include Across the Bridge. They also include a civil rights road trip where we charter a bus and we bring people to Selma, Birmingham, Montgomery, and Memphis. You have experienced that as well. And
I highly endorse.
So we'll be recruiting for 2026.
Yeah. All right.
And we also do the international trips, which we hope becomes a revenue stream. We go to China, Tibet, Kenya, Honduras, Egypt, Morocco, and I hope this spring to be going to Zimbabwe. In addition to that, we also have the community conversations. And those focus typically on mental health, well-being. This month, September, is Suicide Awareness Month. So every month we have a free dinner and movie night. That's open to everybody. You don't need to be from Ottawa County. Anyone can come the second Friday of the month, 5 o'clock, and have a free dinner. Most often that's hamburgers and hot dogs.
Okay.
But
it's free.
It's absolutely free. Absolutely free to anybody. And then at 6 o'clock we watch a movie. The movie can have all different kinds of content. Some are Pixar and Disney movies, and others are documentaries. It all depends on the month. This month, we're watching a movie that deals very honestly and directly with suicide. It's a difficult movie, but an important movie called The Sun with Hugh Jackman. And then on September 29th, we have a town hall on mental health and parenting, where we're talking both about the challenges of meeting the mental health needs of our children, but also the toll that being a parent can take on our own mental health. So we'll have those conversations, those mental health town halls every month. And then our main program is the social rec programs for people with mental illness, addictions, and disabilities. It costs $1 to join. Anybody can be a member. And for that $1, you participate in all of the activities that you want, all of the events, all of the outings. We do have a shower and laundry. If somebody is unhoused, they can use that. So there's services available, and we want to make sure that the community is aware of that. We just started the Wellbeing Collective, too. So on evenings, we have a new calendar that's just around well-being practices. So you can come, you can learn, and you can participate if you choose to.
Okay, thank you for that powerful. Can you please share your website information again in case anybody wants more information from what you just shared?
Absolutely. It's momentumcentergh.org.
Okay, very good, very good. And I hope people follow up because I know from my own experience it's powerful and necessary what I see Momentum Center doing through my lens. The last thing that I'll share, going back to your overall thing is something just resonated with me. So this is not on a script anywhere. It popped up as you were talking there. But I am the father of 3 daughters, and 2 of my 3 daughters have done international experiences. And you talked about just that perspective of seeing things through a different lens. What have you taken away from seeing things outside of our country that is helping you do what you do today? So I know I'm kind of, hitting you with that, but what have you brought from abroad? You talked about it earlier with the meditation piece, but what have you brought from abroad that you implement here locally?
Well, I mean, probably the main thing right now is I did a trip myself to Zimbabwe a few months ago to learn more about the Friendship Bench Project. That's a project that Dr. Dixon Chibandi started 20 years ago when he lost a patient to suicide who didn't have the means to get to his office 2 hours away in a country where Dixon was one of only a handful of psychiatrists for the entire country. He decided he had to figure out something to do. So he started training grandmothers in basic lay talk therapy. And he put them on benches, and he called them mental health benches, and nobody came. And the grandmother said, don't call them mental health benches, call them friendship benches. 20 years later, it's an evidence-based program. For me, it's exactly what we do at the Momentum Center out in the community. So we'll be launching that program. I also was surprised when I went to learn to find that they were showing me the room where they were doing reflexology and Reiki and acupuncture. And that was really the stimulus for starting our well-being collective.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So the connection there and bringing that back home. Looking forward to that. And I will say I saw the 60-minute piece on the friendship benches. And so it's exciting to have that right here in the Lakeshore. So to the listeners of the Muskegon Rising podcast, it has been our pleasure to share a little bit about the Momentum Center and Across the Bridge with you. We hope you indeed do follow up. And until next time, thank you very much. This is Ken James signing off. Thank you very much.